color. I don't know.
Meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I guess that is.
All right, thank you.
We have just enough food distribution bags prepared for those people who signed up. So it's important to sign up ahead of time and let us know if you're coming to Lunch and Learn, because we do have some drivers available for delivery on Thursday for people who can't make it. But if you have last minute changes, you know, we need to know about that. Our next month, we will be having a speaker come to us from the Northeast. He's going to tell us about accessible pharmacies. So you might want to be ready for that coming up. If you are not getting the newsletter by email, you can call our number and press extension 8, and you will have the newsletter read to you over the phone. So that comes out on the 1st and the 15th of the month. And you know, so that's something you could press number 8 for the newsletter. Those are the only 2 ways we're distributing it right now. Our May 18th outing is going to be at Independence Place, which is on Nicholasville Road. We hope as many of you can come to that as possible. Banda Pharmaceuticals will be providing a very nice lunch for us for that event. So please call and register for that ahead of time so we know how many lunches to order. We are going to order lunches through Theresa Catering. So it should be, you know, an enjoyable event. We'll learn about what Independence Place has to offer, and we'll also learn about non-24 sleep-wake disorder and the circadian rhythm and how it may affect your sleep, especially if you don't have any light perception. So give us a call or let me know by the end of today if you're coming to that, May 18th. It's a Wednesday. For those of you who don't know about our mentoring support groups, we have 2 every month. We have one that's done by Zoom in the evening on the 3rd Thursday, and we have one that's done in person here on the 2nd Wednesday. And just let me know if you want to be on the email distribution list for that, and I send out reminders right before those events every time we have a meeting. Sam does an assistive technology seminar once a month, and I'm not sure what date that is. I don't know if Sam's in the room.
On the 2nd Thursday of the month.
Okay, it's on the 2nd Thursday of the month. If you want to learn more about assistive technology, you know, those would be good opportunities to participate in what Sam is offering. Always informative. Anybody know what Sam's talking about?
I do not. I don't know this time.
The American Council of the Blind is having their convention in Omaha, Nebraska this year. I know that's kind of far away, but you can participate in many different ways from your living room. And Carla Rushabel from the Kentucky Council of the Blind will be telling us at our next membership meeting. If you're not a member, you might want to sign up to be a member and come to the membership meeting, which will be in June the 1st, I believe. And Carla will be our speaker, and she's going to talk about all the different ways you can access the convention using your Echo device, by telephone, by Zoom, a variety of different ways you can access all the events from the ACB convention. The convention dates are July 1st through July the 8th. All right. I think we're about ready. We're going to go ahead and I mentioned Bree is leaving, but I didn't mention that she has a replacement already on board, and that is Lee Bailey. And I wanted you all to know Lee will be answering our phone and receiving our guests. Here. Up here.
She's inspired to be like her, but it'll take a while. It's gonna be good. It'll take a while, so everybody patient.
Okay. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you.
Yes, Lee's been a volunteer already and shown us all the things she can do, which is pretty awesome too. So we're happy to have her on board. Our speaker today is Dana Davidson, and I really hope you all will quiet down when she begins her talk, because that's what we're here for. We're here more than just social hour.
And Susan, tell them if they don't, I'll be coming to get them.
Yeah, we do have bouncers on board. So. No, I'm just kidding.
You don't want to get on my bad side.
We really do need to have much more quiet. I realize some of you, had important things to say to each other, and dessert was being passed out, so that's important. But go ahead and finish up. She's going to go ahead. She's on a schedule today. She has another event to go to. She'll be talking from 1 to 1:45 today. We're going to have that on Zoom as well. Dana Davidson is a social worker with the Aging and Disability Research Center, which is part of the Bluegrass Area Development District. We're going to ask that you hold your questions until she is done with her speech. She's prepared to answer a lot of questions. She's going to talk to us about different services that you might be able to access, and some different ways that you might be able to afford to pay for some of those services if you happen to have Medicaid. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to Dana. Thank you.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Hello.
Excuse me. Thanks. Okay, I'm probably a lot louder than she is, so, and I see where'd the bouncer go? Oh, he's back there. So I guess he can kick me out too if he doesn't like something I'm saying. So as Susan mentioned, it's a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm Dana Davidson, and I am an aging specialist at the Area Agency on Aging. That's a AAA. So if you've ever called AAA for your car because you needed help, we're the AAA for whatever you need as far as services. And part of that AAA is the Aging and Disability Resource Center. And so we serve a lot of people who are 60 and older, but we also serve all ages of people who have disabilities. And so I'm here today and I want to leave plenty of time for questions. So we'll get to those when we get to the end. Okay. We were set up. How many of y'all were around when Lyndon B. Johnson was the president? Okay. Yeah. In 1965, he set up the Older Americans Act. And because of that act, we exist. Okay. There are 15 Aging and Disability Resource Centers in Kentucky. And so ours here in the Bluegrass covers 17 counties. But for the other 120, the other 103 counties, there are other Aging and Disability Resource Centers. So regardless of where you are in Kentucky, you can find an area on aging and disability that can help you with your needs. So the counties that we cover are pretty much, y'all help me. What are the surrounding counties? Can you come up with the 17? Fayette is one. Woodford, Bourbon, Scott, Jessamine, Clark, Boyle. I heard somebody say Harrodsburg. That's Mercer. Garrett. We don't do Montgomery. We do Powell, Estill, Harrison, and Nicholas. So, but yeah. So you've got a pretty good idea of where we serve. So, so what we basically do is we have probably between 2,000 and 3,000 calls each month to our Aging and Disability Resource Center. And those calls can range from everything to needing help with utility assistance, to needing help with housing, needing help with adaptive devices, which we do the gadgetry program, which I'm sure a lot of you all are familiar with. We refer to them a lot. And then we also do referrals for home delivered meals, for Kentucky Home Care Program, and for various types of waiver programs through the Medicaid system. So basically we just call, and whatever the person needs on the other end of the phone, we try our best to meet that need and give a good referral where they can get the services that they need. So I'd just like to give you just a brief overview of some of the most often referred to services that we use in our office. First is home delivered meals. I'm so glad to see you all have a meal distribution or grocery distribution program here. There are lots of them in town. If you are 60 or over, you are eligible for home delivered meals. And those are delivered through the local senior centers in each county. So in Fayette County, they're a little overwhelmed. They have about 65, 70 on their waiting list right now. But it's a very easy referral to make. Those meals are paid for through the Federal Administration on Aging, and they deliver them, depending on the county, 3 or 5 days a week around lunchtime, a hot meal. So the home delivered meals we refer to a lot in our office. And if those home delivered meals are not enough, we also refer to food pantries, to other emergency food sources that we know about in the county of residence for the person we're talking to. So home delivered meals is one we refer to a lot. Then we also have Kentucky Home Care. That is a Kentucky state funded program that offers help in your home with housekeeping, laundry, taking out trash, just various things that people might need in their homes. And it is for people who don't qualify. So their care levels are not as great as those that would qualify for the waiver program. But that program is on a sliding scale fee. Okay. So if you make less than $1,200 a month in income, there is no charge for the services through the home care program. And it goes on up. It's not full price until you're up to $2,100, $2,200 a month in monthly income. They don't look at assets or resources, just the monthly income. And we do make referrals to that program. Again, unfortunately, that program has a little bit of a waiting list. For our Fayette County area, it's about a 5-month waiting list. So we try to get people on the waiting list as quickly as we can, so that they can get that wait over with and be able to access the services that they need. Then probably the biggest thing we do is we refer and we do applications for Medicaid waiver programs. And there are various ones available. The one that we most often use is the home and community-based Medicaid waiver program. And to be eligible for that program, a lot of people think, oh, I've tried. How many of y'all have applied for Medicaid? And they said, oh, you didn't qualify. There are lots of different types of Medicaid. So even if you've applied and it didn't work, this may work. In order to be eligible for this home and community-based waiver service, you have to make less than $2,523 per month in income, okay? And you have to have less than $2,000 in assets or resources. They don't count your home. If you're living in a primary residence, they do not count your home. They do not count one vehicle, and they do not count the contents of your home. So they're going to look at that monthly income and your asset resource level. For regular Medicaid, it's like $400 a month. So a lot of people have applied for Medicaid and been denied, so they don't think they're eligible for this program. but the income requirements are much less stringent for the waiver program. Now, the waiver program offers up to a maximum of 40 hours per week of care in the home. And that is any non-skilled need that you have. So they can help with bathing, dressing, fixing your hair, escorting you or doing some shopping, meal preparation, housekeeping, laundry, whatever the needs are. We sometimes have people say, I can't get my trash to the curb. They will do anything like that, up to a maximum of 40 hours per week. So that is the home and community-based waiver, okay? Now, as far as level of care, they say that they want you to be at a nursing home level of care. And a lot of people look at me and say, well, are they gonna make me go to the nursing home if I don't? But what they mean is that you need help with those activities of daily living that I just talked about. You know, bathing, helping with your medications, getting in a pill dispenser, whatever. And that's the level of care that they want you to have. The expressed purpose of the home and community-based waiver is to avoid premature nursing home placement or to avoid it altogether. That's what we want to do. So if we can keep the person in their home and avoid a nursing home placement, that's good. That's what we want to do. Okay, so that's the home and community-based waiver. And I won't go into as much detail with the other waivers, but there is the Michelle P. waiver, which is more for people who have intellectual or developmental delays. So we do that a lot with children. And when they're first born and they have a host of multiple disabilities, we will apply for the Michelle P. waiver. There are SCL waivers, which help with placement in the community. I don't know if you're familiar with, it's like I think of Lord's Legacy when I think of that, because they have a live-in program for people who are intellectually or physically disabled. And that SCL waiver will pay for that. They also have waivers for acquired brain injury. They also have waivers for people who are ventilator dependent. We really, really work hard to keep people in their homes with their families. That's kind of our #1 goal. So those waivers, the home delivered meals and the home care program. And then we have another program called the National Family Caregivers Support Program. And that's actually for the caregiver. Is anyone in here a caregiver for someone who is in the home, a parent, a friend, a sister, brother? Okay. This is for the caregiver. And it offers up to $1,800 per year toward the cost of respite care. Okay. So if you're caring for someone in your family and say you need to go to the doctor, a lot of times caregivers don't take care of themselves, but say you need to go to the doctor, or you want to go to a caregiver support group, or you want to come here for the afternoon and have lunch and visit with friends and get ideas about new resources. This will pay for someone to come in and provide care for your loved one so that you can do what you need to do. And that's called the National Family Caregiver Support Program. That is for anyone who is caring for someone 60 or older, or 55 and older if the person has dementia. So if there's an Alzheimer's or a dementia diagnosis, you can be younger. That program also covers grandparents. I don't know if any of you are grandparents who are raising grandchildren. But we all also have a program for that, where they help with back to school clothes, back to school supplies that they may need. And we like to get that out there so people know all of the resources they have access to. So a huge goal of ours is to also assess when there are not resources. I actually did a training yesterday on equal access for those who are hard of hearing or have vision loss. And, you know, what they said is that when the census comes out, they ask about your ethnicity, they ask about your race, they ask about your income, but they don't ask about disability. They don't ask about vision impairment. They don't ask about hearing loss. So we don't have real good numbers of how many people in our country are experiencing those needs. One of the things they mentioned is that there are only 2 facilities in our entire United States of America that are set up to deal or cater with people who are deaf. So can you imagine a person goes into a nursing home and no one does sign language. No one, they're just completely alone there and isolated. And so we really want to get a handle if there is a population that needs a certain resource that is not offered. We want to be an advocate for coming up with that option. They estimate the most recent estimations are that 12 million people over the age of 40 have some type of visual impairment. That's a lot. 12 million people. They expect by 2050 that a full 10% of our population will have visual impairment. Nearly 3% of all children under 18 are either legally blind or have visual impairment. And there are a lot of things that can cause that. People who do not have visual impairment usually just think of people who are blind and were blind from birth. But we know that glaucoma, we know that diabetic retinopathy, we know that macular degeneration, we know all of those things contribute to visual impairment. Cataracts, Sjogren's disease, and we just got an email a couple of weeks ago about a doctor that specifically works with Sjogren's disease. And if any of you all are experiencing that and need a name and number, I can give that to you.
Can you tell us what that is?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell us what that is?
Sjogren's disease, it's a disease that causes chronic, very dry eyes. And if it's not treated, it can lead to like fibrous cords or strains in the eye that affect the vision. So it's Dr. Paul Karpecki. He's with the Kentucky Eye Institute, and he runs the only dry eye clinic in Lexington. So if any of you all are dealing with that, you know, feel free to see me afterwards and I can give you his name and number. So what's your name? Eric was so kind to pass these to you, and you all are the first to get these. They just came in on Monday. Oh, we had 4 pallets, and each pallet was 3,600 pounds. And we aging people, 50 and 60-year-old women, packed those boxes into the building. And so you all are one of the first groups to get them. So this is the new 2022 Pathways publication. And this publication, unfortunately, we don't have a large print version, which would be a very good thing to have. We do not have a version that's in Braille, which would be a very good thing to have. And those are the kind of things that I report back and say, hey, what can we do here to do this? So this is not online. This is a book that you use. And you will notice on page 67 of that book, for those of you who are able to look at that, those are disability and rehab services. And that's where you'll see the visual disabilities Bluegrass Council of the Blind is the very first one listed. You'll also see the gadgetry, the Kentucky Vision Project, all kinds of things. That's the page for visual disabilities. But this booklet lists every resource that is available to the elderly and the disabled in our 17 county area. And most of these are organized by county. So if you look for assisted living facilities, they're going to break it down by county. So if you're in Anderson County, you can find facilities that are in your own county. Keep these, look through them. There are lots and lots of resources. And we use this book often to set up transportation services for folks. And that may be something that you all experience a lot, is needing transportation help. Any of you all with ITN? Okay, all right. Yeah, it's the only transportation service in our area that does door to door. So especially for people who are totally blind, totally disabled, they will go to the home, the door, pick them up, bring them to the vehicle, and then walk them into the doctor visit. But there are other transportation resources in all the different counties too. So I don't want to bore you with my talking. I'd rather answer your questions and get a handle on resources that we may not have that you would like to see us have. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. Yes, go ahead.
Are you associated with the University of Kentucky?
It is not. It is set up through the state. Remember at the beginning, in 1965, that Older Americans Act, that set up the area development districts. Yeah. And so we are over on Perimeter Drive off Alumni Drive. And that's the Bluegrass Area Development District. And then part of that is the Aging and Disability Resource Center. They also do the career centers and all kinds of things like that. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, still work with the university?
Oh yes, we work with the University of Kentucky, particularly with Sanders Brown Center on Aging and the Alzheimer's Association. We sometimes have students that come and intern with us. So yes, go ahead. In the back.
So me?
Yes.
I got two questions.
Okay.
One question is, how many times are you going to update this book?
We update it every year.
Okay. The second question you probably can't answer is, how can I get rid of all the people that's calling me that's trying to sign me up for Medicare? About 5 or 6, I get probably about 60 calls about every other day. I have to clean out my answering machine just because of people that call me that want to sign me up for Medicare.
Well,
How can I get rid of that?
That is a great question. There is a number you can call to get rid of the spam. Does anybody know that?
Do not call registry.
The do not call registry.
Yeah, but it don't work.
It doesn't?
It works for something.
Yes.
Right. It don't work for a lot of it. So it might work for
Do you know what
Yes.
that number is?
I don't know if it's in here or not. This page 37, yes.
Page 37.
Actually, it says 26.
26 and 37. Okay.
Yes, the National Do Not Call Registry is on page 26.
Well,
And
I
it's
called
an
them.
888 number.
Hey, I called them. I haven't got any answer from them yet.
Okay.
They asked me if I asked them to put me on a all-time lifetime list. I have not received a form to fill out.
Oh, they're supposed to send you a form.
Yes.
Okay.
And they said if I don't fill out the form in 5 days, they'll only put me on the no-call list for 5 years.
Well, 5 years is better than nothing, but I'd
Yeah.
call them back if you're
Yeah,
expecting
I'm
some.
going to.
Right. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm principal about this, online.
Yes.
I was doing like a read it to me, and you said you don't have braille and you don't have, any other form of, having it, you know, I was just thinking the way you kind of read it. And so all those out, you don't have any,
Right.
tapes or anything,
We don't, but you know that it is a great idea. We need to do that because we want to be able to serve all of the folks in our area. So yes, if we could have, you know, a large print or a red version or braille version, I will go back and say that to my folks. Yes, I see your hand back there.
On the transportation door-to-door service you have mentioned,
Yes.
how much would that run?
Well, it requires a membership. And I think it's $50. Hold on just a second. I'll tell you.
It is
Sure.
$50.
It's $50 per year for the membership and $50 for the annual membership. And then there's a $3.50 pickup fee per ride. And there's also $1.85 a mile. So it can get expensive if you're going.
Yeah.
If you're going
It's
places.
more expensive than wheels.
Yes, you can do wheels. If you have Medicaid, Medicaid will cover the cost of your transportation. So that may not be, you know, that ITN may not be something that you're interested in because of the cost. Yes, in the blue.
Wheels does do, as most everybody here knows, Wheels does do door-to-door service. And when it's run right and it's on track, it's a pretty good service.
But they don't, do they walk you up to your doctor?
They can, as long, they can, like here, they can walk you from the foot ramp all the way up here. The only stipulation they have is they cannot, if like, when I go get my hair cut, it's on the second floor. They can't ride up in an escalator.
Okay.
They can't go up to the next floors.
Right.
So they drop you off on the main floor. And usually, if your eyes are real bad, it's best that you have somebody go with you. If your doctor and people are on the second floor and above.
Right,
So they can help you with
right. And wheels is, as long as you have a statement from your doctor that you're unable to use the regular Lextrans system, you can get a wheels transportation card. And again, if you have Medicaid, there is a Medicaid number that you just call and they can set up your transportation for you. Yes.
I also have Medicaid. It's my secondary insurance. All it pays for is my anti-rejection drugs. That and it pays for my premium, and that was how I got mine. Check it, if you have Medicare, if you're old enough to have Medicare, check with Medicaid, because Medicaid will pay your premium on your Medicare, so you don't lose however much they take out for your Medicare.
Right.
Because mine does that. And those are the only two things my Medicaid pays.
That's right. And you probably have a QMB or a QI1
Yeah.
Medicaid. There are lots of different types of Medicaid. When I say that to people, they're like, oh, I just thought there was one. There are lots of different types. It just depends on what you need. And yes, the QMB will pay the Medicare deductible portion for you. And it will pay for other drug, like you mentioned, the anti-rejection drugs. Yes.
It won't pay for my main drugs, like my type 2 diabetic drugs.
Right.
It won't pay for my heart drug. It just pays for those two drugs because those two drugs are so expensive.
Right. I think it's Linda.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just curious when you mentioned the income limit for Medicaid, is that per person or per household?
That's per person. So, and it's Medicaid waiver. It's waiver supportive Medicaid. So if they just look at the individual, they don't look at the whole household income like regular Medicaid would look at how many people are in your household. So that 2523 is for the individual for waiver. So. Any other questions? Yes, I see with the black shirt, black and gray. I can't see your.
I believe you mentioned that the Resource Center offers services for individuals who suffer traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
What kind of services do they offer for them?
Well, the Medicaid program actually has a program for people who have experienced TBIs. They call it acquired brain injury. And there are two different waivers. One is for a person who has an acquired brain injury that can still, through therapy, they can still regain some of their strength and some of their function. And then they have another one that's the long-term care waiver. That's for folks who have an acquired brain injury, but they have reached a plateau in their physical therapy journey. And so they don't expect to see any improvement. So they do two different types of waiver. And those waiver programs also offer services in the home with whatever the client may need.
Are those in the book too?
Thank you.
The waiver programs?
The waiver programs are not listed in the book, no. But I'm happy to send you information if you need it.
Dana,
Yes.
Sarah Faulkner, we talked on
Yes.
the phone a few days ago.
Uh-huh.
It's wonderful hearing you. On this National Family Caregiver Support Program,
Mhm.
I see that you said 1,800 per year for a respite care. Are there local support groups that meet for caregivers?
There is a
Specific
local
group
caregiver
right there.
support group. I don't have the information with me, but I can send that to you. They just started because of the pandemic. A lot of the support groups, whether they be caregiver, grief, I mean, there were lots of support groups that were up and running before the pandemic. And when that happened, everything kind of shut down. The caregiver support group, I think, meets on the third Wednesday of each month. But I can certainly send you that information.
So am I hearing you say that if there was somebody that would love to do that, if they can't leave the person they're caregiving, is there a support person that could help facilitate an appointment, give them a break so they could attend the support group?
Right, that through the National Family Caregivers, they provide respite care. So as long as you set it up in an ample amount of time, that person can come in and give respite care to your loved one while you can, right. And I actually think that meeting, I want to say it's like at 3:30 in the afternoon. So it's not at night.
Where is that?
I'll have to call you with it because we just received the flyer on it maybe a week and a half ago. So
I know there's Memory Cafe, there's a lot of support groups around for people that are dealing with family members.
a lot. The only support system that I know that goes into the home is through Bluegrass Care Navigators. And that is for people who have dementia or Alzheimer's diagnosis. They actually have like a 6-month program where they come into the home and offer that support and that education and things like that. Other than that, the other supports are through programs, services, or they're set up as groups that you go to.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What's your phone number?
My direct phone number, I can give you my direct